So hello everyone, welcome again to this video. We have a special guest today. So Dr. Kalita, welcome to this interview.
Hi, you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for reaching out to me, creating this initiative, and calling in doctors and people with a similar experience and letting out the information towards people who don't have access to it. So, yeah, thank you for having me.
So, can you please introduce yourself to our beloved audience?
Yeah, sure. Hi, my name is Shweta Kalita. I am a recently graduate doctor. It's kind of weird saying it because like for the longest time I was like, no, hi, I'm a med student, hi, I'm a med student. But no, I am Dr. Shweta Kalita now. I am a neurology aspirant. I'll be applying into neurology residency this match cycle. This journey has been really long. I started this USMLE journey, I think, around 6 years ago. And now, at the end of med school, while I'm about to start residency, yeah, it feels surreal. And I'm really glad to be of any use, give out any information, and to any other student who wants to follow the same path. So, hey, you guys.
Thank you for that. So, my first question to you is why did you choose USMLE? Why not CLAV? Why not AMC?
Yeah, so I have a very unconventional story. Like I was not like, okay, USMLE is the deal, this and that. I remember when I was in high school, then everyone, like we know that there is a lack of creativity when it comes to job options in India. Like when you are born a girl, people are like, oh yeah, doctor banegi. When you're born a guy, then people are like, oh yeah, engineer banega, or you're like, lawyer. So things like that. So the moment I was born, like I mean, firstly, my parents were like, ah, yeah, I mean, wish it was a guy, but whatever. And then after, I started growing up, it was me fulfilling my parents' dreams. Like my dad wanted to join the police service. He wanted to be an IS officer or like this and that. So he was pushing me into giving exams like that. Like I remember as a kid, I used to read all these magazines like Competition Success Review and all these magazines where the interview sections of people who got like high ranks in IS was there. So when I was a kid, I used to tell everyone like, oh yeah, I want to be an IS officer. I didn't even know it was like IAS, like for a really really long time. I just thought it was like IS. So it was like hardcore ingrained in me. So after a really really long time, when I finally, like after my 10th, I was like, okay, so like now what? I was equally good in all the subjects, but like your entire family is just like pushing you low, like science science science, because like the good students go into science, the bad students go into arts, and like the horrible ones go into commerce. Like that, I'm not saying I agree to that, but like that's the pre-consumption that like everyone has. Like that's what like everyone believed in, which is absolutely wrong. That should not be the case. So everyone just like pushed me into science, and I was like, okay, fine, I mean, sure, I like bio. And then uh but I knew I was not good at maths, or like I did not enjoy maths at all. So then they were like, okay, I mean, if you like maths, it's engineering. If you don't like maths, then it's medical. So I remember we had like two different sections. One was like med section, one was non-med section. Like no one even asked me if I wanted to be a doctor. It was just assumed that, oh yeah, she doesn't like maths, obviously she wants to be a doctor. So I was just pushed into that scenario. And then by the time I was done with my high school, like everyone knew that they were going to give the AIPM. Like, wait, do you guys have the AIPMT now? I'm not even sure. Or is it just like neat?
Yes, it is neat in India now.
Yeah, so I remember like it was just everyone were sure like they were going to give the AIPMT, and then they would give the state exam, this and that. So like either they go into government medical school or they go into a private medical school. I didn't want to go to any medical school. I just wanted to do like either biotech or like be famous. Like I've been telling that for the longest time, that after a really long time I just felt like I was being pushed into a direction. Nobody really heard what I wanted to do. Like, not that I was very clear on what I wanted to do either, but then I wasn't given the opportunity. I was always put into a box. Like, no, you're a girl. You will listen to your family. You will, do what your parents are asking you to do, and then like that's it. So I just wanted to leave India. That was my goal. Like, my goal was to leave India and make a life for myself. So I looked at the map and I was like, okay, so what is the furthest country from India? A place where I can go, a place that is offering scholarship programs, so my parents won't have to like absolutely drain their pockets in order to like send me there. And so like I was looking, and then I found a bunch of like different islands near the US. And I was like, okay, I can like definitely go here. And their medical program was like really popular, and they were offering a lot of scholarship programs, and I like checked the box in all of them. So I was like, oh great, so I can go here. I'll be escaping. I can finally live my own dreams. I can go there, like, yeah, fine, I'll like join this medical school, and then we'll see what happens. So that's how my medical journey happened. I left India. I came. I did my pre-med actually, because like for USMLE, like because I started my entire medical journey like as like opposite to the how the other IMGs do it. Like, you do your medical like in India and then you do it. But because I started like in this route, so I had to do my pre-medical uh, degree before my medical degree. So I did my pre-med, and then after that I did my med, where I was 2 years on the island. And then after that the pandemic happened, which is why like I had to go back to India, this and that. And as I went on with my journey, like with every year of medicine, I realized that this is exactly where I want to be. Like, I am good at this, like I am exactly where I should have been from the beginning. This is where every single thing that I dreamt of, like medicine, but so much more than medicine. Like, that's how I just like kept on pursuing the USMLE even after leaving home. So yeah, that was my thing. But if you are someone who um, is very passionate about medicine and wants a life that is, and again, like a lot of people have really biased opinions on, like, I'm not one of those people who are like, oh my god, no, you totally need to leave India. Like, sure, I mean, there are amazing hospitals in India, there are amazing institutions in India, and there are really good doctors that come out of India. But we also have a lot of issues when it comes to education and really reaching certain heights as really early on young doctors, which I think you will not face if you either do the USMLE journey, or I'm not very sure about the PLAB journey, but definitely with the USMLE journey, because then the USMLE doesn't just train you to be good at exams. Like, it teaches you how to do research. It teaches you how to work with the community, how to have leadership skills, and how to just be a good leader who is also a doctor and a scientist in a way. So it just like there's a very holistic and a beautiful way that this healthcare system or this education system builds their doctors, which is what like I love at all. So if you are like someone like that, then you should definitely do this. And I just realized this answer was very long, but yeah.
So, such a roller coaster journey from IAS Shweta Kalita to Dr.
Oh my
Shweta
God.
Kalita, right?
Yeah. I know, I swear. Like, I remember there was this one time. So there was this one girl called Dr. Shweta, I don't know, Jain, or like some other title. And she was an MBBS doctor, and she then went on to like give the UPSC exam, and like she scored like really high. She became the IS, and like her front cover was in the competition success review. And like my dad was like, oh, see, this is what you're gonna do. I'm like, okay, so you want me to be a doctor and then go into, yeah, UPSC? It's like, no, no thanks. Yeah.
So, tell us about your USMLE Step 1 preparation journey, the timeline, the resources, and all.
Yeah, so I remember it was around, it was it was just around the pandemic. Actually, this is horrible. I was in the island, and we were supposed to like, our prometric center was in a different place, and the place where the prometric center was, it closed down because of the pandemic, and that was the time that I was supposed to give my exam. And when, I mean, in case if you didn't know, so like when you schedule your USMLE exam, you schedule it in like, first there is like location centers, as in like geographically, like which country, which continent, like you have that. And then in that also, like you have in this specific geographical like area, which city or which like place it is. So my entire thing was like North America, like, in that area. So once all the prometric centers just like shut down, and there was this like travel ban and this and that. I mean, I'm sure you guys are aware of that. So at that point, I just like didn't have any choice other than to like fly back to India. And so I had to like go back to India. It's like, luckily I went back to India like before things went like horrible in India. So I went back to India, and at that time also the prometric centers in India also closed down, because that was the time it was like really hard for India, and there was like a really spike in cases. So it was in, yes, it was in 2021 that I finally could give my step one, and gave my step one. After that, I remember I had to get the national interest of exemption to like leave the country. I got the Covishield vaccine, but the government was like, oh no, you have to wait for 94 days. So I had to, yeah, I had to do a lot of tips and tricks, and I had to like tweet the Indian Health Ministry like, hey, I'm traveling, I really need your help, this and that. But yeah, it was a very crazy journey. I would not say I regret anything about it, because I mean, there are a lot of people who have had it like a lot worse. There have been a lot of families who have been affected. There have been friends who have been affected. So this like, I wish I could have given my exam at a better circumstance, but there also came a lot of learning from that period, uh, how people just like stood by each other, and no matter how bad the times were, countries helped each other. So yeah, that was really nice. And the only thing that I feel bad about my step one is that I discovered Anki really late. So like Anki is like this flashcard flashcards that you just like with repetition you remember more and more and more facts. But what I used to do initially is, like, I'm a very visual learner, so I used Sketchy for everything. I was like Sketchy Micro, Sketchy Farm, Sketchy Path. I was like using it for everything. And just UWorld, so I was just like doing Sketchy and UWorld. And very later on in my study period, I found out Anki. So that's the only thing I would like suggest people, that if you are taking an exam in, like, let's say 3 months, 6 months, like, make sure the initial period you are just building facts, like, like, this is how what my husband says, like, imagine there's like a pyramid kind of a structure. The base of the pyramid should be the strongest. So this is the period, this is the time where you should build in your knowledge. So the more cards you do, the more you are building blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks. And after you're done with all the cards, then you start with the questions. Then you are building on the foundation that you already built in. And then at the top are just like the practice exams and the assessment tests. So yeah, that was the only thing I would say, that start Anki early, then do questions, and then do self-assessments. So, and yeah, so you asked the entire journey, right? After that, I came to Chicago. I had my clinicals, and I finished my last rotation, I think, in June of this year, and I gave my step two in August. So yeah, now we're just like gearing up for the match cycle and preparing ERAS applications, and yeah, stress eating. So
So, what are your tips on getting the USCEs? Like how to apply for USCEs and get into some high quality centers for that?
yeah, so I mean, this is what I tell people. There are like two ways to get it. One is the hard way. One is the easy way. The hard way is by going the generic way. Like, let's say there are some like top 10 programs where you want to rotate at, but I mean, obviously they don't know you because you are an outsider and you don't have any connections over there either. So how you start about is you reach out to someone over there. You try to like do your own research, try to find a doctor that you really really like, reach out to that doctor that, hey, I am so and so, I'm very passionate about, let's say, endocrinology. I'm very passionate about that, and I wanted to work on a paper with you on that and also like see patients. If the doctor says yes, then after that, you can go about like filling their forms. Like, the doctor can like connect you with the education coordinator of that university, and then they send you the forms, you fill out the forms, and it takes a long time. Then they send you, there's this drug test and your vaccination. Like, make sure when you like come here, because this is like very very difficult when you come here and you don't have the test results that they're asking for. You'll have to get it here, and it's crazy expensive here, like especially because insurance is not going to cover all of it, and even if they do, then, and also it's difficult for international students to like get insurance here. So make sure that you have all of your vaccines, all of your immunization records. Like, the moment you leave India, just get it around, let's say, 2 days before you fly, because that way like it will last at least for 3 months, those results. So make sure, and especially like people in India, they like, we got the BCG vaccine, like, right, as a kid, and like people here, they don't get the BCG vaccine. So when you do the PPD test, like, we will come as false positive because we got the BCG vaccine. So you have to like explain them like, hey, I don't have TB. So make sure that you have your chest x-ray, you have your interferon testing already done, because that is the only test where you're like, okay, no, you don't have to take that test again and again and again. It's just like done and done and over. So have all the vaccines, have all the immunizations, have drug tests done, because that is also like costly. And it was very, I don't know why, it was very difficult for me to get a drug test in India. Like, also a lot of people were confused, like, why am I voluntarily going for a drug test? And so there was a lot of that as well. But after you are done with this entire like paperwork and this and that, there is still a chance that it might get declined. Your application might not go through, which is why I would say, like, have backups and start this process at least 6 months before you want to come here and start your rotations. This is not going to cost you any money. This is not going to like this is going to be free of charge. You will, in this way, you will build very natural like relationships, right? Because you will be constantly in touch with the doctor, with the program, with these, like, they will know that because you reached out to them organically, you are interested in their program, like, because you are doing so much to actually come here, like, you will contribute a lot to their program. So this is the generic, the generic one that will not cost you any money, that will give you the best clinical experience, but is time consuming. The easy one is the one that I don't personally recommend, but in case if you are in a tight spot, you don't have the time for this, and you just want to come here and get like rotations, then there are like organizations, the third party organizations that charge you for it. I mean, there are lots of different companies who will charge you money for all these hospitals. Again, I don't know a lot about those companies, but I do know people who have come through them. They will not be the best of the hospitals, but they will guarantee a letter. You will get USCE, and yeah, you'll get to see patients. So these are the two ways. Now, depending upon how much time you have and how much you want to commit, you can choose whichever one.
So actually, the hospital and university electives, they don't guarantee you letters of recommendations, right? So how you can ask them to write LOR for you, and how actually you can stand out yourself in those electives.
Yeah, so that is how you have to be exceptional. Like, I was told very early on, like, be the first one to reach the hospital and the last one to leave. Like, make sure the first day you come there, you introduce yourself, and like, this is something we are taught in India, that, oh, don't speak up, like, speak in like low tone, don't argue, don't put your opinion. But like, just because you are saying or speaking something, that doesn't mean you're arguing with people. And that doesn't mean that, you need to just like constantly talk and ask stupid questions. Like, don't do that. But make sure that you are seen, right? And how you make yourself seen is the first day that you go, you introduce yourself, you tell the doctor what your expectations are. You tell them that, hey, because unless you tell the other person what you need from them, they are not going to know. So you tell them that, hey, this has been my journey. I'm very passionate about so and so specialty. I am very hardworking. What are your expectations from me, right? So you ask the doctor, instead of just assuming that this is what I'm supposed to do. You ask the doctor, what are your expectations from me as a student, as a rotator? And then they'll tell you around, like, oh, you're supposed to do this. Make a note of everything, and be very observant of your surroundings. If there are students near you, help them, right? Because people notice all these things. Help the students next to you, help the nurses, help the admin people. If they need printed something, go print it. If they need extra notes for some reason, or if they're forgetting something, or if they're lagging behind, or any way that you can contribute in helping the clinic or the hospital run more smoothly, do that. Like, don't come in anyone's way. Always ask for feedback. Like, hey, like I would typically do this, like the first day you ask expectations, and then you do really good, study your material very well. Be very good at physical exams. Like, that is like very highly seen on, like, be very, very good at physical exams. And then in the middle of your rotations, let's say if you're doing 6 weeks, on the third week, you ask for a midweek evaluation. You ask the doctor, like, hey, what are your recommendations? How have I been doing? And then you say that, because I am applying into this specialty and I really look up to you, I would love if you could give me a strong letter of recommendation. Make sure you mention the word strong, because a generic letter of recommendation is going to hurt you. So make your intentions clear, and then after that ask for a midweek evaluation. And then like they can say, like, okay, yeah, you did this, you did that, like I wish you could have done this, like what are the ways that I can be better. And then just constantly, the more you are asking questions about what you could do, the more the people out there are going to like you, the more you're going to stand out, like versus if you just like stay there, do what everyone is doing, uh you know do the same as generic thing. If you, like, again, this is what my mentor tells all the time: if you do the same thing that everyone is doing, then you will end up as everyone else, right? I mean, you have to stand out, you have to do something more, you have to contribute, so that if there is a problem, they can rely on you, like, oh no, she can handle it. So that is how you get a strong letter of recommendation. Yeah.
So, actually, in India and other part of the world, generally, we as a medical student don't get so involved in research. So, what are your thoughts and tips on someone who actually want to get involved in research? And also, are there any options to get research positions in the US? Uh, More
Yeah.
accurately, remotely, some remote research positions in the US.
Yeah, so I would say, like, yes, definitely. There are ways to get again, there are like two things. Like, a, you can either get a lot of research, or you can get a research position. When you get a research position at a place, uh, you will benefit more in terms of relationships than research, because when you get a research position, you work on very long term clinical trials and projects like that, like projects that might not even finish by the time you are applying for residency. So research positions are usually taken like I took one research position. Research positions are usually taken by people when you are interested in a program, you want mentorship, and you want to build very strong relationships, and you can like get like a few publications, but your main goal is not publication. But if your main goal is only publications, then doing it by a research position is not going to be a way. And also when you are talking about like remote research positions, I know what you're talking about, but those remote positions, they will offer you, but oftentimes you are not going to be an author in those papers, because when they're offering you remote research positions, you will be doing the statistics, you will be doing the data analysis, you will be just gathering data, like the grunt work that nobody else wants to do. So that's all you will be doing. You'll be creating tables, like not that it's insignificant work, but it's work that other people don't want to do. Hence, it's just something they'll see it as like, oh, it's fine. This we can just like hire this person as a remote researcher, and he can help us do this, but he won't necessarily be on the paper, right? And also make sure that you are always either between the first, second, or third author. Anything after the third author doesn't matter. It is absolutely a waste of time, I believe, that if you put in all the work, especially in a remote position where you don't really know the people, you're not really interacting with them on a daily basis, and then the papers get published, but you never know where you are. You may be there, you might not be there. Some people end up going all the way to the 10th author position. No one is going to give you any importance with that. So which is why actually, like, there were a lot of problems like research related, which is why me along with my other two friends, we created this organization. So we were like, oh, like, this is research is something that a lot of like IMGs are lacking, so we should like definitely like create a community where we can do like writing workshops, we can come up with topics and like different specialties, and we can help students have published papers. Because not everyone is like, I had to give myself a lot of time to actually learn medical writing, learn how different forms of writing is done. And again, not everyone has the time, not everyone has the patience to just learn a new skill. Like, imagine going to medical school, you're anyways learning so much of stuff, and then and then you have to learn this whole other new skill about how to be a researcher, right? That's just like, not everyone, I understand it, like not everyone has the patience to do that. And again, like, because we come from like this background, like research is very deeply ingrained in with the students here. Like, people all the way from high school and undergrad, they do research all the time. So that's why like we created this organization, and we hold writing workshops very often. We're actually going to do one either next week or like next to next week. Yeah, all of you guys can definitely join. I will leave the link to the our page downstairs on the column. And yeah, so you guys can pick what category of papers you want. There are, I mean, the easiest ones to publish are definitely abstracts, and then you have the narrative reviews. You can go to a systematic review, there's meta-analysis, and then there are also like case reports. If you have more cases, you can make it into a case series. And then the really complicated ones are clinical trials that you do when you are in a research position. But if you just want like publications and you want to show that you are really interested in a specialty, like, these are the ones that I said should contribute with. And we always like start off the students with the easiest ones. We're like, okay, let's just like write one abstract, and then we get them published, and then we get them more and more involved with other topics. So yeah, definitely reach out, definitely be a part of writing workshops, and yeah, we'll find something for everyone. Yeah, so I guess look out for us.
Thank you for that initiative. So, nowadays it is a trend in the, like, you can also see in the social medias and the LinkedIn, like people posting that we have one or other position left, please pay us this amount of money, and then you can get your name published. And IMGs, the aspirants tend to fall for that. So, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. No, I agree. Like, I like, again, I don't want to take names, but when I was in in my fresh third year, I was panicking over like, oh, I didn't have any research. And I there was this another friend of mine, I was like telling him like, oh, we should like really do something. So I remember I just like took a printout of my CV, and I was going from like institution to institution, like, hey, I really want to learn. I'm very hardworking. I will do anything. Like I can help with like patient management, this and that. Like that is how I started learning. I just went from like one institution to the other, like, asking, pleading people for help. And then slowly, I like some people would like tell me one person, then from that person, I would go to another person, and just, like that way I made my way. And the other friend, he found out that, there is a way to, get these publications sooner. And he was like, oh, I found this thing, you should like totally do it. I found out from this other person who is also in our uh, in our class. And there was like, okay, like how much is it? And it was like a lot of money, won't say it, but it was a lot of money. And he was like, okay, so there's just going to be like a group of people and this and that, and at the end of it you end up getting published papers. And I was like, okay, how about you do it like for this. I think it was like every 4 months or something they charge people. So it's like, okay, like you do it for these 4 months, I'm currently busy with like some other people, and then like after 4 months, like let's meet and let's connect. After 4 months I meet, nothing happened to that paper. That entire money was just like wasted. There were few people who managed to get theirs published, but it did not bring the kind of value that they were looking for. So I would definitely, whenever you are uh, taking help from someone, and especially when you are paying someone something, right, always ask them for their credentials. Like today, like at least I can say that, okay, who is this Shweta Kalita who is offering people publications? Google me, look me up, try to see how many papers I've written, or try to see my entire journey, the things that I have done. That is my credential. That is something that I can stand by on. That, hey, this is what I've done. And now I'm trying to replicate this success, and I'm trying to share it with others. But I feel like usually when it is someone else, and a lot of people will try to sell it to you with a lot of like big words, like, oh, you will get this, you will get that, like first author, second author, like this and that. What are your credentials? Like try asking them, like, okay, you are selling me this, but what have you achieved so far? Like I am not saying that just because I've done this, all of you guys should like come to me. Not saying that at all. But whenever you pay someone something, definitely check the product, right? I mean, when we go to a normal store, and like before buying dhania, we look at it 10 times. So how can you just just trust a random person and be like, okay, yes, I will give you whatever money you want? And so always ask for people's credentials, and don't feel shy to know your own value. Like, okay, fine, I might not be anyone, but this is hard earned money that I am not just going to give to a random person. And I will do my own research, I will look this person up, and if I don't find anything other than scammy things, then no thank you. So that's it.
Yeah, actually, doctors are so obsessed with getting into the US residency that we sometimes forget that not only me and you are in the social medias, there are the professors, directors,
Yeah,
PDs, and all. They also see these kind of posts. Like they also
they
know
do.
that there are these things going on, and eventually they will
Exactly.
find out about you in the interview and everything. So yeah, actually,
Exactly.
that was a very good point you said. So
Yeah.
what is the scenario of neurology for IMGs in the US?
Currently, I would say that it is like neurology has been a IMG friendly specialty for, I think, the last couple of years. Like I don't know the exact number, but I know last year it was pathology, then internal medicine, then family medicine, and then I think number four was neurology. So I would say it is not difficult to match. All you have to do is, and again, like I'm not preaching something without even getting it, but this is what the advice I've been getting from every single person, and especially like from people who have matched. Make sure you demonstrate in your CV, in your application, that you are interested in neurology. Like not just a rotation, like a paper in neurology, you attended a conference in neurology, you have, your mentor is from neurology, your letters are from neurology. Like things like that. The more you demonstrate, the more you are, good at interview skills and this and that, the more better it's going to be. Because again, like your application, your scores, like all of that is going to get you the interview, but how you perform at the interview is eventually going to help you match. Like after you reach the interview point, then your application doesn't matter. Like maybe it matters a little bit, but it's not the major like deciding factor. Like after you reach the interview, the only, like they are going to decide, do we like you, do we want to work with her, did she, is she actually what she says that she's on paper. Because again, like you said, there are a lot of people who fall into this trap and they end up having a lot of papers, and sometimes it happens that people themselves don't know what they have written on their papers because they never read it. Like it's not their paper, they just like paid some amount of money and now they have it. So they'll be testing you. Make sure you know everything that is in your application. They'll be asking you things from your own paper, from your own conference, your own poster. So as long as you do good and you stand by your application, your interview process, and you stay true to your interest in your specialty, should be good. At least for IMGs, yeah.
Now let's talk about some real life experiences. So you have been exposed to the US healthcare system for a long time. So please
Mhm.
give us some idea. I guess share with us some of your experience. Like how's life in the US for doctors?
How is like, okay, so like doctors as in like from as a doctor or as a patient? Like,
As a
because
doctor,
it's
as a
different.
doctor.
As a doctor. Yeah, so initially, I would say that um, it is a change. Definitely, it is a big change. I would say the biggest change is the weather. It is very cold. So if you are like me and cannot handle the cold, definitely go to warmer places. I think that the people out here are just very friendly and they like helping people, so also like I would say another thing. So this has like helped me a lot because when I was little and my parents would like I don't know, I think like a lot of people know this, my parents would constantly tell me that if I like find something cool about like some project or like something, then my parents would be like, no no no, don't tell anyone, don't tell, keep it to yourself, don't like don't help your friends, no, like then they will succeed, they will go before you, no 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 no, or keep it to yourself. And then I just like never understood, like, oh, is it uh, like is it that anyone can succeed, like just because I tell this, like if I tell you a secret, like, oh, hey, this is how I studied or this is what I did for my journey, I can tell you my entire journey, will you be able to replicate it like the exact same way that I did it? Like I just like never understood it. But over here, people like seeing other people succeed, like everyone helps everyone, and every time, and I am the kind of person, I don't like or like I cannot, I am very transparent, like if I'm struggling, you will see it in my face, if I'm annoyed, you will see it in my face. So when I needed help and I absolutely had nothing, I was extremely vulnerable, I was extremely humble, and I reached out to people and they helped me, like even when I would get rejection letters from people, like they were extremely nice. And I still remember, like I have this like entire folder in my Gmail that is filled with rejection letters. Like I think one day I can make a book out of it, like how many rejections I got to like get one acceptance and then again rejections to get one acceptance. So, and like that's how you grow. So I think people over here, again, I can't say this for like all the states, but Illinois in particular has been amazing. I have found some amazing mentors. People have helped me reach some great heights. And I think very early on, I made some very smart decisions, especially when it came to like, I decided very early on, like, oh, since I'm interested in like psychiatry and neurology, I should like contribute to an organization that is related to that. So then I reached out to Alzheimer's Association and then I started contributing there. And then that's how I found out more things about the healthcare, that it is not just doctors, there are also social workers and scientists and FDA and people who work so hard on their research. Like right now we just think like, oh yeah, research is just something you need to do to like match. But then here there are like scientists working day and night who are physicians, but also working on newer drugs for Alzheimer's, trying to find a cure. There's just so much magic that happens every single day, especially when you are, surrounded by people who have a similar vision to yours, like who don't just want to be physicians, but want to just go ahead, achieve, learn every single day, grow every single day, and fall, but again learn from that, meet more people, and yeah, just grow in this community. So I think it is a very nurturing environment, but you will only get that experience when you come out of your shell, which I know a lot of IMGs don't do. Usually, at least from what I have seen, not trying to generalize, but when IMGs come to the US, they are always surrounded by IMGs. They would only talk to IMGs. They would only go to places where there are IMGs. And there's this like shell, there's this very hardcore shell that IMGs would like, oh no, I will do this because this particular IMG told me to. And then I would go here because this particular IMG did it. So everyone is busy following the algorithm, like following the route, following a map that someone did somewhere. And sometimes it works for people, sometimes it doesn't. But if you truly, truly want to grow, break that shell, come out of it. And it's beautiful, I'm telling you. So, yeah.
Uh, Today, when you look back at your whole USMLE journey from where we started from that city in India to now where you are, so what is the
Mhm.
one thing that you are proud of?
My resilience. Yeah. Like, I think uh, right from the girl who just finished high school being completely uncertain, like I don't know what I'm doing, like everyone keeps on saying like, okay, like I remember I even joined Akash Coaching Institute, like not because of my own will, because it was just there, and I was absolutely miserable there, like oh my god. I was like, why am I studying this, what am I doing, what, like, yeah. So right from that stage till fighting every single way, coming here, making a life of my own, and having like a kind of successful life here, which I am very proud of, I think is because of my resilience. And resilience and grit are something that you will need to have a really, really successful life.
Do you have any regrets so far, like anything you would have done better?
Um, No, I mean, I guess other than the fact that I think when I came to Chicago, I should have like brought my dog also with me. But other than that, no, no regrets. Yeah.
So now moving on was to the last part of the session. So what is your message for the aspirants like us who are now thinking about the USMLE journey or who are in the middle of the USMLE journey? So what are your tips and small message for them?
Yeah. I mean, firstly, be very sure that you want to go in this journey, because again, like I feel like now it has become like more of a trend than it was before. Like every single year we're getting like more and more and more IMGs. So be very, very, very sure that this is something you 100% want to invest in, because it is not just going to take time, it will take your time, your money, your patience. It is going to make you feel absolutely horrible at times. You won't be able to like imagine it's like building yourself a life for a country where you're not even there yet, and there are a million uncertainties, and absolutely certain that this is the life you want to create for yourself, then give it all in, like, because it's worth it. When you uh, can't stop dreaming about it and doing it, every single step that you reach closer to your goal makes you feel more alive, like that's how you know that you're in the right track. And once you have realized that, the only thing you need to do is stay true to yourself, be resilient, and find more people like you, like like we have this community, reach out to doctors, reach out to people, reach out to senior residents who are at programs, and just like have communications, like, hey, how is it in your program? I'm like thinking of applying there, this and that. So create long-term relationships. Don't give in your everything to one exam or like one particular thing. Like that's what I would say.
Thank you for being with us. So actually, this cycle of helping each other in this long journey, helping each other succeed, should continue. And we
Yeah,
wish you all the best for your future. Thank you for
thank
being with
you.
us.
Thank you, it's my pleasure. Bye, you guys.